Welcome to Diversity Xtra with your host, Don McKneely.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today on Diversity Xtra, where we tell your story. Our guest today is Kristin Schneider, and Kristin is the general manager for We USA magazine. Kristin, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Don. It's great to be here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure to have you join us. As we get started, Kristin, can you tell us maybe a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background?
Absolutely. So, I am Spanish, Irish, German, American from California. I was raised in a big family, so lots of love, and I attended the University of Alabama. So I earned 2 bachelors there, marketing and communications, and then decided to go ahead and go for my master's in marketing, and then was recruited by Accenture. So I joined their management consulting practice in San Francisco, and there I had the opportunity to work with some absolutely incredible companies, gain a lot of unique experiences, and decided that after a few years, I wanted to go ahead and take a gap year, as you would.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a year off. I traveled around the world. I volunteered in numerous different countries. With a business background, I had the chance to create business teaching programs for areas receiving microloans. I helped some nonprofits with their process design and optimizing their networks so that they could better serve the communities they were in. And then I also got the opportunity to teach English. So an incredible life-changing experience, over 50,000 miles of travel.
Wow.
Let me tell you, I was happy to put down that suitcase when I got home. And then I returned to Dallas to be close to my family. They had moved here, and again, big, strong family background. So moved back to Dallas and became a freelance communications specialist. I did some freelance work for a while, and then I accepted an offer from Women's Enterprise to become the general manager.
Oh, fantastic. Well, tell me, what drew you to the magazine industry?
You know, my journey into Supplier Diversity Publishing actually began when I was in high school. So in high school, I had the chance to intern for a national Hispanic diversity magazine. And during my time there was this incredible editor and a very sharp woman, smart, good at what she did. And the very last day of my internship, I got up my courage and I brought her a paper and I handed it to her and I said, would you please look at this and let me know what you think of my writing style? Like, how can I be better? And so she took it and she kept me waiting a little bit. And then she gave me a call and said, I'd like to hire you as a freelancer. So my entire career path was started by a woman taking a chance on me and giving me that opportunity. And I became one of her freelancers. And as I was writing more and more, I realized that I had a huge passion for telling those stories, for talking about people's challenges, their triumphs, how they overcame obstacles, what they did, what worked and what didn't, what advice that they had for the next generation, or for the people that they would be helping get a seat at the table.
Well, I believe you mentioned telling their stories and the entrepreneur story and what have you. I believe that's part of the theme tagline for Women's Enterprise magazine, isn't it? We tell your story.
It is, and that's why it was a great fit. I had this passion. It was growing. I worked as a freelancer for over 10 years for a variety of different news publications. And then I realized Women's Enterprise was a great place for me to be. I was able to continue to be an advocate, and the entire basis of our magazine is that we are advocates. We are telling those stories. Our mission is to empower and advance WBEs, and then to highlight and recognize the corporations and advocates that are working in that space to advance supplier diversity with us. So it was the perfect fit for my passion.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell me, now how long have you been with Women's Enterprise USA?
I just celebrated my 2-year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
So thank you so much. I can't believe the time has flown because, like they say, when you're having fun, time flies.
It flies, doesn't it?
It does,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about your work at Women's Enterprise as the general manager. Kind of what does that entail for you?
So as general manager, I get to do a variety of incredible things. So I help with the process design for our company, our growth strategy. I oversee our distribution department that makes sure that our incredible magazines get to where they're going and into the hands of the people who read them. I also have the unique opportunity to be in charge of all of our digital platforms.
Oh.
And so I get to play in the social media space, the website. I get to try new ideas and new ways to bring great content to our customers online. And of course, the favorite part of my job, I get to go to conferences and represent our company. So I attended the WeBank National Conference recently, their Summitsolute. I get to go to some of the affiliate network events, and they're just the highlight of my calendar.
Well, you mentioned the content. You work with the content development. Can you talk to that a little bit? What is the content and what does Women's Enterprise cover relative to its content?
Absolutely. So I love our content. I'm honestly incredibly proud of it. We are here to support WBEs. So we cover incredible WBEs, what they're doing, but we also bring opportunities to them. So we highlight the latest trends, the statistics, the chances to apply for different grants or competitions. We're always bringing the latest and greatest in one spot. And then we have that element for the corporations. So we want to highlight the people who are going above and beyond in the supplier diversity space. So we publish a couple different lists. I mean, the best of the best. We are highlighting the leaders that every WBE should be trying to talk to. We're highlighting the people that are opening doorways and offering opportunities. And then we're looking at advocacy groups. And we work very closely with WeBank and its affiliates network to make sure that we're bringing those opportunities to our readers, that we're covering events, that when somebody can't be there, we're there for them. And then we bring those stories directly to them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, as you talk about WBEs, that stands for what? Women Business Enterprises, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
My apologies, falling into the lingo. So WBEs, Women Business Enterprises. And so those are going to be companies that are owned and run by a woman. They're incredibly powerful. And so when I refer to WBEs, I'm referring either to the company or their woman business owner.
Well, I understand that space is really, really growing fast in terms of women business enterprise development, and more women are starting their businesses. So, you know, as you talk about We USA Magazine, what is your favorite cover for We USA Magazine since you've been there?
I actually do really have a favorite. So my
Really?
favorite cover is the first cover that was published. When I joined the company, it was celebrating its 25th anniversary, so
Okay.
a huge milestone for any company.
Absolutely.
And we decided to go through the archives and find every single cover ever published by We USA. And I'm proud to say we got them all. But in that process, I picked up this magazine, and it was black and white and in big bold print on the front. It said 1992, the year of the woman. And those 5 words set the tone for our magazine for the next 25 years.
Wow.
And actually the next 27, because we're still being advocates for women. And so I loved that this magazine, the first published, really was a cornerstone for our philosophy at We USA.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned the WeBank conference and the Summitsolute conference. So when you go to a conference, what kind of questions are you asked at the conferences as the general manager of Women's Enterprise? Because you know it all, you cover it all, right?
Well, when I get to a conference and I introduce myself, I always get asked the same 2 questions. The first question comes from the women that are there and they haven't been certified. And they ask me, do I need to get certified? And my answer is always yes. yes, 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 go work on it right now.
Absolutely.
Every woman-owned business should be certified. And if you're not certified, you're losing out on an opportunity. Because unfortunately and sadly, most women business owners will face more challenges in getting financing. They'll face more barriers in getting seen and heard and getting those contracts than their male counterparts. And so if you're a woman-owned business, why would you skip on an advantage like having a certification? That certification, WeBank certifies. So getting a certification through WeBank, that guarantees that a company knows you're woman-owned. That gives you an entryway into their process. And companies are looking to do business with you. So if you're not certified, you're kind of leaving business opportunities behind because you're hiding yourself in a way. So every time somebody asks me, I tell them yes. And I think my emphatic yes sometimes startles them. But I want them to remember I really do mean it. The second question, as soon as I say yes to that, someone else at the table goes, well, should I really be involved with my regional council? And they're usually the ones that have been certified, but they're trying to kind of feel their place out in the world. And my answer to that is even maybe a bigger yes.
Yes.
So you've been certified, but your regional council is a huge resource. WeBank has 14 affiliate councils across the nation. That's 14 different councils, which means you have a council representing your area whether you know it or not. And these councils are like dynamic powerhouses of opportunity. They are run by incredible women. I mean, our local DFW council, the leader's name is Debbie Hurst. She's one of the most brilliant thought leaders I've ever met. And her team work so tirelessly to support WBEs.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're a member of that council, there's meet and greets, there's corporate roundtables, there's training seminars, there's even resources on I've been certified, what next? I mean, they have it all. They have conference days, they have scholarships for WBEs, they have so many different resources that if you're not part of that council, you're missing out. I mean, I go to all of the events, they're on my calendar, and at the end of the day, those councils are not only offering resources, but they're offering connections. And that's a lot of the world, right?
Absolutely.
We hire people we connect with, we give work to people we connect with, and having those connections there might be a contract that a different WBE gets, and that woman looks at it and goes, this isn't right for my business, but it is right for her business.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so again, it's such a lost opportunity. If you're not part of your local council, you need to be. You need to be attending the WeBank events. And more than that, you should be supporting them because they're there supporting you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the women's business councils are kind of like an extended family for business owners, for
Yes.
women business owners, right?
Yes, and there's so many incredible women there. And the corporations that are really care and really connect, they're there too. So you're making contacts with other women and with the men and women and other people from those corporations that want to see you succeed. So
Absolutely.
it is. It's a family. It
Absolutely.
looks like a family gathering when everyone meets anyway.
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
a great time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you mentioned the WeBank National Conference that you recently attended.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that conference? Can you tell us a bit about that and what your thoughts were about the conference?
It was exceptional. I can't lie. I've been to a few of them, and every one just blows me away every time. You'd think I'd be used to it, but I'm not.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the WeBank National Conference and Business Fair, 24/7, every one of those days, there's always an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
People are there to learn, to grow, to connect, to make that deal. There are tracks to learn how to grow your business, how to work with your certifications, how to find new opportunities. So there's an educational component that is invaluable. There's a connection component that you're going to get nowhere else. I mean, as a woman business owner, the WeBank National Conference is the place to be. Personally, some of my favorites, I loved the pitch competition. Sponsored by PepsiCo, 80 women started, and I had the chance to see some of those pitches. And I got to learn about products, ideas, services I had never thought of. And honestly, I walked away with a shopping list.
Sure, sure.
And I knew every item on that list was not only something I needed, but was from a woman-owned company, and I would be supporting a woman-owned business. So love that. And then, of course, the business fair day, I mean, there's an energy. When you get thousands of people in one space with one goal, and that's to grow supplier diversity, there's a synergy and a power that you just can't replicate. And so you go to the business fair, over 300 booths. I mean, I know I got my 10,000 steps in
Sure.
like an hour. You're walking, you're talking, you're connecting.
Yeah.
Everybody has, their people there, their representatives, top leadership from all these corporations. They're supporting. The regional groups are there. Like, everybody gathers. So for anyone who hasn't attended the WeBank National Conference, you need to. If you have attended, then you know what you're talking about, and you've already booked your plane tickets.
Absolutely,
for the next
absolutely.
one.
Well, I heard that there was over 5,000 attendees at this year's conference. Is that right?
I'm not surprised. You look, and every room and every floor of the convention center, I mean, just mind-boggling amounts of space. And every moment is devoted to this. And even, sometimes it's that connection you make where you sit down with a stranger. And the WeBank conference is one of those times where you can walk up to any person, anytime, anywhere, and start chatting and figure out that there's something that you guys can do to help each other. So, and sometimes it's swapping a card and calling that person in a year when you remember. Sometimes it's looking for goods and services for your own company. So, WBEs, Women Business Enterprises, are buying services and products from other women business enterprises. And so that's the synergy that WeBank creates, because you can't fly 5,000 people in on a normal occasion.
Absolutely.
There's something
absolutely.
special about that conference.
Well, it sounds like it was truly a great conference, and certainly the place for women business owners to be next year.
Yes.
For sure. In case you just joined us on Diversity Extra, I'm visiting with Kristin Schneider. Kristin is the general manager for We USA magazine. Kristin, let me ask you, in terms of women-owned business and women business leadership, what are some of the challenges that women are facing in the business environment today?
So women business owners face some really tough challenges. As I've seen women do their work, as I've talked to them, as I've interviewed them, I see three challenges kind of standing out. And so the first one I'm going to call the multi-hat challenge. Women, and this is statistically proven, women are the primary caregivers of their family and oftentimes their community. So when a woman business owner goes home, she's taking care of the kids. She's volunteering in her community. She's making something for the bake sale. She's cleaning. She's cooking. She's taking care of a parent. She is doing so many different things that it's almost like her work begins when her job ends. And that's something that is a challenge, because that's an amount of bandwidth that she needs to be able to do and needs to be able to put aside. And so that is one challenge you hear women talking about, that balance, figuring out the synergy, how to make it work, how to bring the two together. Another one, honestly, the Barbie doll challenge. So as a woman, women, and myself included, are expected to look like women. So we're expected to do the hair and the makeup and the outfits and the outfit change in the middle of the day or before an event. There's so many different aspects that might not immediately stand out in your thought process, but that you're spending time and energy on. And that is an amount of resources that you're putting aside. And so just to give a very personal example, I had a friend passed over for a promotion. She does not work at a WBE, I'll say that. So she was passed over for a promotion, and at the end, somebody came up to her and said, well, if you had wanted that promotion, you should look more professional. And she goes, oh, well, what does that mean? Because she wears suits, she wears nice outfits, she's very put together. And they go, well, you should probably wear like more makeup or heels or something.
Okay.
And you take that moment, and it's so sad that women still face that, but that is a challenge. You know, the last one is that we honestly live in a world that's designed by men for men. And so when you look at things like heart attack symptoms, Therefore, the average male body is what's described. And so many women miss that they're actually having a heart attack because they haven't been told what a heart attack looks like for them. Or you look at something like seatbelts or medication dosing. All of those are based on an average male body. And so when you look at what women business owners are facing, they're facing challenges on the home front, they're facing challenges in their everyday work life, and they're facing challenges that they might not even realize they're facing because they're operating in a world that unfortunately, again, was designed by men for men. Good news, the very good news, because now that I've painted this dire picture, the good news is that there's been a huge change. Every generation there's a big change. So bringing it back to my personal life, my mother was told when she wanted to go to college that she didn't need more education because women didn't need more education. And she qualified for Mensa, which means her IQ is like touching the ceiling. She was in science. She was a technical writer. She was one of the best salespeople at her company for years. I mean, this is a woman who, her ability to think and process information is extraordinary. But she was told she didn't need to go to college because it wasn't necessary. Here's me one generation later. From the time I was like, yay high, I mean, I was told, you're going to college. In fact, to be honest, I didn't realize college was optional until the middle of high school. So I thought your bachelor's was required by law, and that your graduate degree was like that thing you should do, but if you didn't, okay, society would accept you anyways.
Right.
So I was raised by a mother and father who both told me I could be a CEO, I could do anything, I could go through college, I could go get a doctorate. You know, you look at me, I have my master's, and that was because my parents had raised me knowing I could. So in one generation, what a difference that is.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that my mother and father are huge proponents of seeing me succeed, and that they raised a daughter that knew that she could. So when you look at mentorship, you look at investing in the next generation, all of those components are going to bring us further each time. Just as a group, as a society, both men and women and all people need to come together and kind of keep pushing everybody forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you mentioned generational. Speaking of generational, there's a lot of conversation about millennials in the workplace, in the supply chain now. More and more millennials are getting involved in supplier diversity, women business owners, heir parents of their women's companies, and what have you. So what's some of the views of millennials relative to today's business climate and the marketplace and diversity?
So I feel blessed to live at the time and place I do now. I see that millennials, we have 3 traits that distinguish us from past generations. So we're techie. We've been raised with a level of technology that's unprecedented. You know, as a child, I bet you never imagined that your cell phone right there could control everything in your entire life, including your house and your car. And, you know, technology has come so far so quickly, and we're the generation raised where we just acknowledge that it exists, we incorporate it, it's nothing new. Like, we've come to expect that. So we have an adaptation to technology that's kind of in our DNA. Technology is part of who we are. And then we're very mobile as a group. You know, I have friends that go abroad all the time, that go around the world for vacation, that go around the world for business. We have the ability to travel on a level that you haven't seen. And so you take that technology and you take that willingness to travel, and then you put in this global mindset. So social media, travel, technology, they've all enabled us to be very connected globally. So the difference between a friend I have in Arizona and the friend I have in China is just that one takes longer to fly to than the other. But my day-to-day communication, absolutely the same. I can do a phone call, a Skype, I can video chat, I can do anything, any communication method I want. And so I've had the chance to travel. Most millennials I know have traveled. And so we've gathered these networks of people. And we've become very familiar and very open to new ideas and new concepts and new types of diversity. And so when you ask about millennials and diversity, I think that this generation of millennials has started at a place where they're very open to diversity. And not only that, but they view it as a strength.
Mm-hmm.
So diversity, it's a strength, it's a requirement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Millennials don't want to go into a workplace with no diversity.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see the point.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see why, and they see it as a disadvantage to work in a non-diverse environment.
Mm-hmm.
So, as more millennials fill the supply chain,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to see very fast jumps in diversity because that workforce is going to demand that it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love it.
Absolutely.
I mean, the past generations have teed it up and have trailblazed to the point that this next millennial generation can push us further.
Well, as we talk about millennials and we talk about supplier diversity, women's business ownership, what do you see as some of the coming trends in the supplier diversity space? Any thoughts around that?
Absolutely. Our magazine is always looking for the trends because it's important that people know what's coming. So a big trend that is here that I see moving forward and changing how we define diversity is that inclusion has become part of diversity. So we've come to realize, I say we, but the entire
Sure.
the supplier diversity professionals and this workplace have become to realize that having a seat at the table is only as valuable as the person being heard.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a seat at the table, but you take away this microphone,
Mm-hmm.
that's not diversity, right?
Right.
So diversity doesn't work without inclusion.
Right.
Inclusion is the invitation to dance when you've been let in the door.
Right.
So inclusion is here to stay. It's a key part of diversity. And you're going to see more and more people saying, okay, that's great. You have a diverse workforce. Are they being promoted? Are they being heard? Is everybody given an equal shot at the table? Because that's what everybody needs to do in order to be successful, in order to have a strong workforce. I mean, you don't want to leave people behind because that's human capital that you're wasting.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's a big one. Number two, you're going to see this idea of the whole self. So the whole self is that if you are open and accepting and the workplace is willing to invite that whole person into the room, then that whole person is going to bring all of their talents, all of their strength, their personality, their experiences. So when you have an open invitation that involves the whole self, you're going to get all of that. Again, human capital, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's the idea that you can come in and share if you have a disability, or you can come in and share about a poor background or a background that you might not be proud of, but you can talk about your successes now. That you can bring your whole self to the table, and that will be a strength for your business. The final one is sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
So sustainability is here. You're seeing a lot of talk about sustainability in supplier diversity. And you know why? I think it's because diverse people, like women starting business, they're interested in sustainability from the start.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a woman starting a small business, she's growing, she's hiring other women-owned businesses, and she makes sustainability a goal in her life.
Mm-hmm.
Sustainability has many meanings. So if you look at kind of a sustainability of age, we're having the baby boomers start to retire. We're going to have to make sure the millennials come into the workplace and are working up through that stream. Like you said, you have heir parents beginning to become clear in some of these family-owned businesses. You have millennials really working their way up through the chain. So we need to make sure the millennials stay, and that's a form of sustainability in and of itself. But you also have the clean water, the zero waste,
Mm-hmm.
all of the sustainability related to the earth. That's important to my generation and the millennial generation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important to a lot of small business owners. When I talk to other women, they see the value behind using a glass
Mm-hmm.
versus the water bottle,
Mm.
or using a metal straw versus the plastic.
Mm.
And so they're very community oriented. They have a lot of strong ties
Mhm.
to how their business is going to impact their community.
Mm.
And so sustainability is here, and I think it's critical for every supplier diversity professional to really start thinking about it, because I would love to see the woman workforce and the diverse workforce be the foundation of sustainability.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Kristin, you mentioned goals. And so what are some of the goals for We USA Magazine for 2020? Can you share a bit around that for us?
I'm excited for 2020. I'm really excited for it. So for our magazine, we are constantly growing our digital offerings. For any of your viewers that have been fans over the last few years, they've seen the introduction of our newsletter, which has very kind of curated content that brings top articles into people's inboxes. They've seen our digital edition begin, where you can sign up for an email. It's delivered straight to your inbox. No need to go, remember to check the website on the right day. So the convenience level, the scope and sequence of our digital, everything is growing. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also very excited because we're going to be doing a Best of the Decade feature. And of course you have to, right? It's 2020.
2020.
So we're going to be highlighting, the best of the decade across different industries. So I'm incredibly excited to see that coming out. I'm incredibly excited to see the value that it brings when it's highlighting these people and these companies. That's huge right there. So 2020 is going to be a great year for us.
Absolutely. Well, we're almost out of time, Kristin, and I guess viewers that are interested in getting a copy of the magazine, and you mentioned the digital magazine, that they can get the digital magazine. And so is that the full magazine that they can get?
It is.
Okay.
So I'm really happy to say that if your viewers go to weusa.biz, that's weusa.biz, they can look at our website. They can access all of our content in the magazine. We put web-exclusive content on there. We have our digital edition that people can click through and actually download the entire magazine to their computer if they want to read it offline. I know I have a few on my phone for when I'm traveling. Great resource.
Absolutely.
And they can also access things like our digital edition sign-up, our newsletters sign-up, and a calendar of events, which is how I plan my travel. So it's a great resource, everything right there. It's a very easy way to read our magazine and connect with our content.
Okay. Well, any parting advice to women entrepreneurs, since you've been around so many successful entrepreneurs over the years? Any parting advice that you can share with our audience?
Take advantage of your resources. 5 words.
Take advantage of your resources.
Take advantage of your resources. Get certified. Get involved with your WeBank local affiliate council. Read our magazine. Ask the questions. Talk to the people. Connect. Because there's no reason for you to let go of opportunities and let go of success if the resources are there. So you never know when a resource is going to be your open doorway and your golden ticket. So take advantage of your resources every day.
Kristin, thank you so much for joining us on the Diversity Extra. We look forward to you coming back to join us real soon. And we thank our audience for joining us today. And be sure to check us out. We're on YouTube. That's Diversity Extra. And that's Extra, X-T-R-A, no E, X-T-R-A, Diversity Extra on YouTube. And we'll look forward to seeing you again on our next episode of Diversity Extra, where we tell your story. Kristin, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.